very insecure because I hadn't got my mask in place. I remember feeling so uncomfortable when people looked my way. I remember kind of holding my head down, trying not to draw attention, trying not to look people eye to eye, trying not to be seen. Like, what's all this hiding about? When you're going to let people see the real you? When you're going to show up for real? When you're going to let people, when you're going to quit hiding, know who you really are? When you're going to let people see you, Dion? These questions, they took my breath away. That I had been wearing my mask for 40 years. I had never considered showing up without it. And yet here I was being challenged in the most deep and profound way to let you see me. I knew that I needed, if I was going to go on and build the kind of life that I've been dreaming about building, I would need to let people see the real me.
Today's guest is my dear friend Dion Johnson. Dion was born with pronounced facial disfigurement. Her story of unmasking is a powerful metaphor that is now captivating and inspiring leaders across the globe to show up, speak up, and shake things the hell up authentically with their sphere of influence too. She's passionate about and uniquely skilled to help women rise above professional challenges and be more influential in their roles. And her new book, Influential Women, A Fresh Approach to Tackling Inequality and Leading Change at Work, receives positive reviews from readers around the globe. Welcome, Dion.
Oh, thanks for having me here, Anita.
What is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
You know, I feel like I'm always a bit afraid of the next level and doing the next thing. I'm not one of them that is oblivious to how afraid I am. I do connect with fear often, but I love courage. Doesn't require you to not have fear. In fact, courage says you need to have fear, doesn't it? You need to have some fear to exercise courage and to move forward anyway. So I have lots of those. But the thing that springs to mind as you ask me the question is my unmasking story. My unmasking journey has been one great big battle against fear. And like you said in the intro, I was born with a facial disfigurement. Like a pronounced facial disfigurement. So when I was from very early on in my childhood, like from baby to into my early adulthood, I was having lots of corrective surgery on my face. I was in hospital a lot, you know, involved with a corrective surgical process. But as part of the corrective process, I was given, I like to say my gifts when I was 4 years old. I was given an artificial eye.
Yes, that's right.
A set of really dark, big glasses. That the artificial eye was this plastic shell that was painted to look like my undisfigured eye, and it would fit over in the socket over my disfigured eye, and these big glasses would hide the scars on my face. So that was the whole point of the gifts. The gifts were to help me hide, help me to blend in, help me to look more normal, help me to not look so different and so disfigured. And so I wore those from the age of 4 years old, and then and I call it the beginning of my life behind the mask. Yes. And, you know, that's how I just went through life. I went into school, like one day I didn't have those masks, and then I got the gifts and I went into school with a completely different face. And then I went through life like that, went into the world of work with my masks on. I went into university and higher education with my mask, and I went into the world of work with my masks on. Gosh. And then you know, and into relationships, into special relationships, into any kind of relationship with my mask on. Very few people knew what I looked like after a while of wearing those masks. Very few people, I could count on one hand the number of people that I let see me without my masks on. And so when I was in my mid-40s, just a week from hell, culminated in me realizing that I was being divinely called to unmask, to let people see what I look like, see who I am. And I was, can I say shit scared on here?
Yes, absolutely.
I was terrified of the prospect of people seeing my disfigured face without my coverings. And very long story short, I made up in my mind that I was going to let you see me. And it was one of the most scary things that I've done, like learning how to show up in a room without that artificial eye and dark glasses was one of the most difficult things I've ever navigated. And actually, it's become like a metaphor for not just letting you see my face, but letting you see me. You know, I've learned that we hide on so many levels. We mask on so many levels. And I was masking on all the levels. I was going through life hidden. And so I've been on one scary adventure after another, just finding and facing and embracing the me behind the mask and letting you see her, you know, getting her ready to show up. And, you know, so those have been quite the adventure, quite the courage and fearless adventure. Not fearless at all. I say that tongue in cheek. Just needing courage to be able to do that.
So what was it that made you realize, I've got to change this? What was it in that moment that actually made you realize that?
So I love this question because you know how when it's time for you to deal with something in your life, you know how when enough is enough and you can't go forward if you stay the same, and life just comes and grabs you and says, hey, this needs attention. Well, that's what happened with me and my mask wearing. So it was 2009. I talk about this year a lot because it was my turning point year. I was having what you might call the dark night of the soul. It was like, you know, on the outside, my life looked like I had it all down. Like people would regularly tell me, you know, Dion's a high flyer. She's confident. She's got all the ducks in a row. And on the inside, I was feeling like, nope, you know, I don't feel like this is it. I feel like there's more for me to be, more for me to do, more for me to say. I felt like my life was stuttering, you know, like one foot on the gas.
Yes.
And yet one foot on the brake simultaneously. So it's like I knew that there was so much more for me to be. I'm a smart girl, you know, I'm intelligent, I can do things, I was educated. So, you know, people could see all of that, but I knew inside that there was more for me to be. And I didn't know why it was so hard for me to be it. Like it felt like I was trying to move forward, but also sabotaging and holding myself back all at the same time. And right at the height of that, it was 2009, my aunt died. And it was a real sort of, you know, one of those aunts where, you know, she's like your mum, you know, her kids are like your brothers and sisters, you know. It was like an aunt like that. She died and we got set into funeral arrangement modes. We're Jamaican, so we have like 9 months of celebration where people come from near and far to come and celebrate her life. And in one of the wakes, I saw my friend Jay. And Jay I hadn't seen for years and years and years. And by now she'd had a 10-year-old son that I'd never met. And we were trying to catch up, you know, how's life, what you're doing, what you're up to. And this boy was making these strange noises. He was getting in the way of the conversation. And so Jay slapped him and said, you know, what's up with you? I see I'm trying to talk with Dion. And he said, Mom, your friend, she's so ugly.
Bless.
I mean, when he said it, his words really hurt on the inside. They really, it's like a big old stab in the heart. And I noticed something, Anita. I noticed how just randomly noticed that his words, I was in pain on the inside from his words, but I noticed that on the outside, you couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't tell that I was in pain. And I just noticed it. Like, you know, just like a fly on the wall. So I just thought, you know, that's strange.
Wow.
You know, I saw myself hold my composure. Like, you couldn't tell the hurt and the pain that was going on the inside. And I really noticed it. So the very next day, very next day, I was standing in the foyer and these random kids ran up behind me, tapped me on the shoulder, pointed at my face, made fun of me and ran off. And it was the same thing again, like, wow, like right in that same spot in my heart where the knife was the day before.
Yes.
I just felt like it was like and long story short, every single day that week, something happened to bring my attention to my facial disfigurement, to my facial flaws, to my needs to hide away from people. And then by the end of that week, I lost my glasses. Like, we were getting ready to go to the funeral and my glasses, my dark glasses, part of my mask, fell behind the back of the radiator. And when it was time to go to the church, we could not find these glasses.
Gosh.
And I just noticed how I got into a real panic. We were looking in the dustbins, we were looking behind, you know, under the bed, we were looking all over the place trying to find these glasses. And I was concluding, I can't go if I don't find my glasses. I can't go to my aunt's funeral.
Yes.
My sister said, don't be stupid. She lent me her sunglasses. And long story short, I went to the thing feeling very insecure because I hadn't got my mask in place. I remember feeling so uncomfortable when people looked my way. I remember kind of holding my head down, trying not to draw attention, trying not to look people eye to eye, trying not to be seen.
Yes.
And this really, it was loud. I saw myself behaving this way very loudly and wondered what the heck is going on here.
Yes.
So the next morning, you know, I found myself with my hands up in the air, crying out to God, saying, God, help me, you know, something's hurting me. And I had this interesting conversation. I like to say a conversation with God. And I had heard these questions the first time in my 40 years of mask wearing. And the questions were something like this. So, Dion, what's all this mask wear? What's all this hiding about?
Yes.
When you're going to let people see the real you? When you're going to show up for real? When you're going to when you're going to quit hiding? When you're going to let people know who you really are? When you're going to let people see you, Dion? These questions, they took my breath away. Like, I had been wearing my mask for 40 years. I had never considered showing up without it. And yet here I was being challenged in the most deep and profound way to let you see me. I didn't know how. All I knew was I was terrified, and it made absolute sense that in the deep parts of me, I knew that unmasking, I didn't call it this at the time. It was just all about letting you see my face. But I knew that it was the right thing to do. I knew that I needed, if I was going to go on and build the kind of life that I've been dreaming about building, I would need to let people see the real me. And honestly, I did not know what that meant at the time. I thought I was just talking about not wearing the artificial eye and dark glasses. But what it opened up into was a realization that I was masking on every level, and I needed to let people see all of me. I needed to be able to learn. I need to go back behind those masks, find that me, find the real me, sort her out.
Layers and layers.
Yeah, layers and layers, absolutely. And find her, sort her out, get to know her for myself, and bring her to everything bring her to every relationship, bring her to everything that I was doing. And I'm telling you, I'm still walking that journey out now. And some days I'm still needing to draw on the courage to do that.
Bless. So because you talk about hiding, where did that come from? Because you were taught that if something's wrong to hide it. Where did that come from?
I think that in culture, in society, we have that kind of philosophy, whether we like it or not. This is a very big way for us. we don't like to be vulnerable. We don't like to be real, to be honest. We like to perform. We like to act. We like to have our ish together. We like to look like we've got it all down pat. We don't like to reveal our state of not knowing, or not being right, or not being like everybody else, or being different. It's really tough to admit in the status quo that we have these differences, but we all do. We all have them. And I think especially for women, there's so much expectation about what it means to be a woman, and what is right, what is to be a good woman. In centuries gone by, it was how we were, depending on how well we were. So how we behaved, or how we looked, or, how our demeanor, all of these things were indicative of whether we would get married or not, indicative of whether we'd have money or not, whether we'd have a roof over our heads or not. Do you know, it's coming from centuries of programming, especially for us as women. When I was growing up, I could not say the word I as in EYE. I could not say the word ugly because I felt like they pertained to me. I felt like I was so ashamed of those labels, and I didn't want to be associated with them. It's just in the journey of learning how to find myself, and to be all right with not having all of my stuff together, and to be all right with having this face, and to be all right with not looking like you, and to be all right with not sounding like you and thinking like you, has got far-reaching implications. If you think about it, we're in a time now in the world where we really need change. We need difference.
Definitely.
So I think being a leader requires us to be okay with being different, requires us to be okay with being not like her, or not like him, or not like them. We standing in our power requires us to be able to embrace, to find ourselves, to embrace ourselves, and to love ourselves as we are, and know that we're a gift for the world, regardless of the good, the bad, or the ugly.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more. And like you say, being cultures as well, taboos, secrets and shame is all to be hidden. Being Indian myself, I can totally understand about the culture side of things, and society itself, absolutely I absolutely love everything you're saying.
So it's all of our stories. I work with women from all different backgrounds. I work with women at all different levels, and senior women is my kind of sweet spot. I work with a lot of women in senior leadership, and some of the cultural issues that we're experiencing in our professional lives are really steeped in the programming and the culture that we've come from, not just in our personal lives, but historically as women. It's all playing a part in how we're showing up right now. And when there's challenge, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's some kind of I am statement going on that's I call BFDL, big fat dirty lies about who we are. That's playing somewhere in our professional isms and schisms too. So it's time to get it all handled.
Absolutely. And how did you manage to navigate your mental health? This must have had challenges on your mental health for sure.
Yeah. So I'm a woman of faith. That's my first thing, is that I have a very strong relationship with God. I have I'm a Christian. I study the Bible. This is my worldview. This is how I navigate life. So every problem I navigate through my relationship, my spiritual relationship, my spiritual practice. So that's been hugely helpful in this, because when I think back to it, 2009. I didn't ask. I didn't consciously ask for that week of Week from Hell, where these
Yes.
kids were hurting me. It felt like pain, but it came anyway. Life is taking us on a journey, whether we like it or not. And the way we respond to it requires, we need to have a proven way to respond to what life is bringing our way. And so faith is a huge part of that for me. I think that we all need to find our way to navigate what life is bringing. I didn't ask for that week. We don't ask for the painful moments.
No, of course
the painful moments come, and how we deal with them. We need to be thinking outside of the painful moments about how we deal with life's painful moments. We had to have a plan for dealing with painful moments.
Yes, of course not.
And so, I've got a really ironclad way that I do life. It's through the lens of faith, and it's through the lens of my values that I do the work to understand. I understand what I value. You know, oftentimes when people find themselves in conflict or find themselves feeling perturbed or discombobulated or upset or stressed, it's because they're completely out of alignment with their values, but they don't even know it most of the time. Oftentimes when I work with my clients, I'm doing the work to identify what's being contravened here, values that they didn't even know they had. And so I think that we need to get really savvy about living a lifestyle ready for whatever life throws at us. We need to be developing ourselves to have rules about how we respond to life, whether it be good or bad, whether it be hard or easy, whether it be lovely and blissful or, difficult and challenging and painful. That we need to have a code for how we walk through life. I think that's the biggest thing that's really helping me. So no matter what comes my way today, that I do wobble, but then I quickly get back to, well, what have I decided I'll do in situations like this? How have I decided that I'll respond to situations like this? What's my truth in situations like this? It's like I have this benchmark, this rock that I keep coming back to, that helps me to view whatever it is I'm going through and respond. And that's how I keep my sanity.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Love it.
Thank you.
So what was it like when you I know we're still on an evolving journey, but what was it like when you finally accepted yourself for who you are?
Well, I think I'm still on the journey, definitely. I remember when it started with me exposing my face, and I remember getting a counsellor to help me to plan how I was going to look. I had not shown up without my artificial eye and dark glasses for such a long time. And I got myself some help, and we made a plan that I was going to start with letting strangers see me. And I remember the day when I decided to open my front door to the gas man without my artificial eye and my dark glasses on. I remember that I was shitting bricks. Can I say that? I was really, really, really scared because I was going to let somebody into my space without my mask on. And I opened the door, and there was this little old gas man on the doorstep, and he was really, chipper, and he said, "Hi, come to read the gas meter." And he sort of like whizzed by me, like almost just pushed past me, and came in the house to, "Where's the meter, love?" And he sort of whistled while he worked, and he didn't vomit. He didn't recoil in horror. He didn't like in my mind, it was going to be like he was going to be taken aback. He was going to be aghast. Like he didn't. And that really, it was pleasant.
Yes.
So after he left, I was still shaking a bit, but I thought, wow, well, I can do this, And then I remember going to the train station, like deciding that I was going to go to the train station, walk along the street, it's about half a mile away, walk along the street without my artificial eye and my dark glasses. And I was walking along, looking at how people responded to me. And, actually, people smiled at me. And people didn't faint or have these extreme responses like I thought they would. In my mind, I'd conjured up these big responses. And I remember the day when I got on the train. I remember getting on the train, sitting down, seeing this woman over the way, looking at me, looking at my face, looking at me. And she seemed to be sort of quizzical. I could see her squirming, like getting ready to talk to me, and I was getting myself ready to just retaliate and just protect myself and fight. And she leaned forward. She said, "Excuse me, dear." I said yes because I was really sort of ready for her.
Yes.
She said, "Where did you get that beautiful coat?"
Oh.
I said it really took my breath away. I thought she was going to point at my face, tell me about my face, make fun of my face, say something about my face. I learned something really powerful. I learned that some of the things that we're afraid of are just happening in our mind, and they're not necessarily going to happen. They're not necessarily going to happen. And then I'll tell you one more quick story of being in public transport. I work in London. Nobody drives in London to the city, so we always take public transport. I remember being at work one day in Whitehall, and it was a long day, really challenging day with some women leaders, and I decided that, let me just get on the bus and get out of here, get home. I got on the bus. It was really rush hour, really crowded, found myself the last seat on the bus, just sort of almost fought somebody for it, like dived into the seat, sat down, and then I said to the lady that was sitting next to me, I said, "Excuse me, have you got the time?" And so I saw how she looked at her arm to find the time, and then she turned to look at me to tell me the time. She looked at my face and she screamed.
Oh my gosh.
Her bag went up, her lipstick went over there, her newspaper went over there. She was shaking and hyperventilating at the look of me, and she felt hot. She was horrified at the look of me. Like that extreme response to my face that I'd been dreading all along. Here it was happening on a crowded bus on the way home after a long day's work. And it was awful. I felt like this dark cloud looming, ready to descend on me. This cloud of shame, embarrassment, this cloud of, just pain wanting to descend on me. And then I just looked at that cloud and I said, hold your fire a minute. I took a few deep breaths. I helped this woman pick up her newspaper and her lipstick. And I got up and went to the back of the bus. And I felt like I wanted to cry, felt like I wanted to scream, felt like I wanted to fall down, felt like I wanted to dig a hole. And then I just carried on breathing for a minute and got myself back to this center place that I've been telling you about. And I gave myself a talking to. I said, Dion, you knew when you decided that you were going to quit hiding that that there were people that were potentially not like you for you. Yes. You knew that there was a risk that people were going to make fun, that people were going to be cruel, that people were going to be not sensitive and tactless, maybe. You knew that there was a risk of these extreme responses to the real you, Dion. And this is just one of those. And your decision still, do you still want to go ahead with your decision? Like, yeah. I still don't want to go back to being hiding anymore. I don't want to go back to being hidden. Yeah, are you still breathing? Yeah. Feel sore? Yeah. Need a hug? Yeah. Will you show up tomorrow? Yeah. Yeah, I'll show up tomorrow. It's worth it. It's worth it. Our courage to follow through on our decisions, our courage to be who we say we're going to be, our courage to stand for what we're going to stand for is going to attract opposition, is going to attract extreme opposition in some cases. There's going to be losses, there's going to be damage, there's going to be trauma, there's going to be shaking.
Carnage.
Yeah, right. There's going to be that. But, there's a scripture that says something like, what does it benefit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Having the courage of your conviction, following through, backing yourself and following through with what you've decided is right for you and right. These are things that will cost us, but I say it's worth it. It's worth the price.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. God, I feel like giving you a big hug.
Yeah.
What have you found to be your biggest learning around your facial disfigurement?
I've learned that my facial disfigurement is a metaphor for how we hide.
Mm-hmm.
Like back then, when I was 4 years old, I know that the doctors and my family thought that it was a great idea to help me look like everybody else.
Yes.
I know they thought it was a great idea to help me blend in, help me to fit, help me to look more normal. But the truth is, I'm not normal. I'm quirky, I'm different.
Mm-hmm.
And we all are.
Yes.
And right now, in this post-pandemic recovery period, particularly at this time when the world is shaking and upside down and conflicting and confusing, we really need new approaches, new ideas. We need new types of leadership. We need a new sound. We need new insights. And that can't be birthed through vessels that are trying to be the same as everybody. We all need, in wherever it is that we're leading, we all need to take a deep breath, take courage, and express our true selves and our true ideas and our true insights, that especially those that will help this world to be better.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's what my face has taught me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to move on slightly now, I'd like to ask you, Dion Johnson, aka the womanologist, explain that a little bit, please.
Well, it's funny because I'm really so here's the thing. When I work with women. I work with women in leadership, and oftentimes women come to me because they're pissed off with their boss. They are struggling with work-life balance. They want to lead more effectively. They want to lead more effectively, basically. They want to show up. They want to speak up. They want to shake things up in their sphere of influence. They want to show up with more power in their leadership. And so they come and they would be saying things like, like they come saying about their boss or the workload or the culture or the this or the that. And when we'd work together, what they would say was, I thought it was all about them and work and things outside of me, but actually what's been touched and what's been healed is my inner woman, myself, the woman, me. That's what's being healed here. That's what's being challenged here. And so for a season, that title, the womanologist, just was born. It just felt right. It just felt like, yeah, this is what I do. I heal women. I help women to heal from those programs of the past that stop us from really stepping into our power in leadership right now. And I still do that. I don't use the moniker, the womanologist anymore, but I am still in the business of healing women's ability to step into their power in leadership. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. So tell me about the message, intentions behind the new book, Influential Women, and who's that for?
So Influential Woman, I've got a copy of it here.
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
It's for any woman in leadership who knows that it's time, who really cares about, when George Floyd died, do you remember a couple of years ago when we all witnessed the murder of George Floyd? Now that really knocked me off my feet. Once I got myself to a kind of steadier place using my process that I showed you about, I reached out to my network and said, how is everybody doing? The women, I was really surprised that there were 3 responses. And the first response was just indifference. People saying, it's just a lot of hype, American hype, it's nothing to do with us, it's not a thing. It's just another news hype thing. The second was shock. Oh my God, I can't believe that, we're still having to have these conversations about race and in 2021 or 2020 it was, wasn't it? 20, I can't believe we're having to have these conversations. But there was this other response that really caught my attention. This other response was people, women especially, saying to me, Dion, I feel sick about the state of our world. I feel sick about the state of industry. I feel sick about the state of power and how power is wielded among us. I feel sick about these issues, inequality, injustice, inequality, illness, sickness and disease. I feel sick about it. I'm a leader. I'm positioned in organizations that say they're sick about it, but I know we need something else. I know we need something more. I know we need something new if we're going to really make a difference on things.
Yes.
And so this book is really written for people like that. I started writing the book, and I handed the book in January in 2020, and then in March you saw what unfolded. I didn't know that I think the book is prophetic, because I didn't know that I was writing the book for such a time as this. I didn't know that I was writing the book where people would be saying to themselves, you know what, I really want to make a difference. I really want not just to be going to work for the pay. Nothing wrong with being paid well. I don't just want to go to work, to pass the time. I want to go to work to affect and impact society, affect and impact new outcomes. I want to see things change and transform and improve for real. If that's you, then this book really is about
definitely.
that. Yeah.
So what resources do you recommend, tools, daily steps to anyone that no longer wants to hide behind anything?
Yeah. So I think everybody, especially anybody who's leading or aspiring to lead, should invest in their development. So many of us just stop, especially when we get to high level leadership where I like to hang out. I think it's really important to continue with your ongoing development, continue to have accountability, and continue to be challenged to grow. And that comes through a variety of ways. You can hire people to help you do that. I suggest every leader should be investing as much as they can into coaching, mentoring, sponsorship, allyship, relationships, partnerships that help us to grow. There's things like reading books. There is things that I like to say, heal yourself. Be actively healing from our past stories and issues and isms and schisms. Like, invest, find modalities that attract you, and invest in teachers that speak about this and teach about this and support you in your growth with this. Heal. Then we need to handle our heads. So we need to heal. We need to handle our heads. We need to get our heads straight, examine our beliefs, our limiting beliefs, our big fat dirty lies, our, the cacophony, the mess, the noise that's going on in there. We need to be investing in quietening that down so that we can make clearer decisions, that we can be more courageous, that we can have the courage of our convictions. Like, we need to be investing in people. Just live with this noise in our heads. It's not conducive to courageous leadership at all. And then I say we need to be developing our message. For us to be courageous, we need to be able to clearly articulate what we see, what we think, what we know, our wisdom. We need to be able to package that, to organize it so that people that we want to influence courageously, people that we want to lead courageously, can understand what we're saying, can receive our message. I've been on this amazing journey that I've been telling you about today, but the ability to tell you about it in ways that are useful for you and your audience, that's taken some thinking through, that's taken some living through, some wrestling through, there's some organizing of your data that needs to happen. So I say, heal, sort your head out, develop your message, your hook. And this is how I believe we prepare to be more powerful.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So where can the listeners find you online, your book? What's your website, Dion?
So my website is my name, dionjohnson.com. So find me there. or email me there, connect@dionjohnson.com. And my book is everywhere that they sell great books. I mean, you could just pick one up on Amazon. That's probably the easiest for everybody. But, you know, any bookshop should have it. And if they don't, if your bookshop doesn't have it, then you need to go and ask them why not.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll put all the links in the show notes anyway, so everybody can connect with you directly.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for sharing your inspirational and courageous journey with us today. And by doing so, you have helped so many other people, Dion Johnson.
Thank you so much indeed.
So my last question to you is, what is your definition of courage?
I guess, you know, there's the cliched feeling the fear and doing it anyway. But, you know, for me, courage is about nurturing a conviction of heart, and being non-negotiable about following through with that.